Hi friends! These are going to be some notes on how to do our next unit, which is a group discussion. A lot of times people are like, I get how to have a conversation, I get how to do a group discussion, I don't really need to take notes on it. But this is a very formal and academic group discussion, and sometimes even though we think that we're having effective conversations and effective discussions, we do things that we don't even always realize that we're doing. It's just really important to be cognizant and aware of our body language and what we're saying and how we're saying it. So please just take note of these tips and use them to your advantage. First of all, it's important to be prepared, and I know you've probably heard this a bajillion times in your life, but really, you can't have an effective discussion with somebody if you aren't both aware of the topic. For example, if I try to have a discussion with somebody about chemistry, I'm like gonna fail at it because I don't have a lot of knowledge on chemistry topics. I'm gonna be like, well, the symbol for potassium is K, and then I'm gonna be done. Um, it's obvious that I'm not prepared for a discussion on chemistry, and it's going to be obvious in front of a group too. So if you show up with your group and you don't have any research on your topic, it's going to be clear to everybody in the room. Kind of like how I say, don't just give a speech by winging it. Don't go into a group discussion by winging it, because people will notice. I'm going to notice if you're just blabbing just to blab. Everyone needs to participate, so all members of the group discussion need to equally contribute to the discussion. Do not be a dominator or a sideliner. That means that you should not be dominating the discussion and being the one who's talking all the time and not allowing other people to talk. Sometimes people like to say, oh, I'm a good discusser, I'm a good discussion leader. And then they end up being a dominator, and it's their voice that is heard throughout the majority of the discussion, and that's not a good thing. Everyone needs to be equally involved. Don't be a sideliner. That basically means don't just sit on the edge and not talk. You do have to be involved. You do have to talk in a group discussion. It's obvious as well when there's somebody who isn't talking at all during a group discussion and people feel awkward about it and they wonder why they're not talking. Everyone needs to help everyone. So if you notice that somebody is sitting off to the side and not really saying anything, you could always reach out to them and say, hey, Megan, earlier you and I were talking about this. What was it that you were saying? You can invite people to talk and invite people to participate, because that will overall help the entire group and the whole discussion process. Remember, you're getting graded on this group discussion, so you want everyone to be involved in it. Along with that, your contributions need to be meaningful. So you can do things like question, validate, and summarize. If somebody says something and you have a question about it, ask that question. It'll help flow the discussion. If you can validate people, that's awesome too. Like somebody brings up an article, you can say, oh, I read that same article and I also noticed that whatever it was. Validate what they're saying and then add to that discussion. Sometimes things are brought up in discussion that maybe confuse people. So sometimes like summarizing what someone else has just said can help everyone stay on the same page. Even if you're just rephrasing what someone just said, make sure that you're keeping everyone focused and not confused by just, oh, okay, so what you're saying is, and then just kind of re-summarize to just keep everyone on the same page. If you say things during the discussion like, I agree, or I disagree, that's not counted as participating. That's not something of value, so that doesn't count as participating. You actually need to be like conversing, talking, and adding to the conversation, not just, throwing out a few words here and there. Also, please avoid speaking just to speak. It's not really necessary to always be like, yeah, true, or sure, yeah, yeah, I agree. Sometimes that's fine and it's not a big deal, but you don't need to talk just to talk. And also, if you don't really have anything to add to the current conversation that's happening in your group discussion, don't feel like you have to jump in and add something just so you can talk. Wait until there's a time when you can contribute to the conversation. Wait until there's a moment that you can effectively jump in, and don't just jump in just to do it. Okay, so along with that, the conversation needs to flow effectively, and that means that you need to transition from one idea to the next. Sometimes people like to jump in with something because they have something that they really, really, really want to say, but at the moment it's not relevant. Don't add something in until there's a lull in the conversation or it gradually transitions into your topic. Just wait for the right time. You want the conversation to feel natural and not like you're just throwing stuff out there because you feel like you have something that really needs to be said. So, kind of with that, stay focused on the topic and stay serious about it. The group does not need to get sidetracked. Sometimes conversations will just get totally off topic and we'll be like, whoa, what happened here? We need to get back on topic. And if that happens, just be the one who stands up and says, okay, guys, we're a little bit off topic. Can we go back to, and then bring everybody back? Avoid changing the subject before it's the right time. That goes with what I said before about flow. Find the right moment to add in what you need to say. I just want to make sure that everyone's taking this seriously because, again, this is an academic discussion, and so sometimes a joke or a little bit of laughter can lighten the mood, and that's fine, but it needs to be in good taste, and too much laughing or too many jokes because we're uncomfortable will definitely lose the focus of the conversation and you will lose credibility. So please just remember that this is a serious discussion and you need to take it seriously. Okay, so for individual discussion skills, do your best to help keep the group on task. Keep them focused. If you need to remind them to stay focused, remind them to stay focused. Try to avoid allowing yourself to get off task. Sometimes a lot of us like to, we're like squirrel and then we want to bring up something else, but avoid that. Listen to other people. When other people are talking, you should be hearing them and listening to them so that you're able to validate what they're saying or question what they're saying or summarize what they're saying. Be aware of how often you speak. If you've realized in the past 10 minutes you've spoken 4 times, maybe 5 times, you probably need to say to yourself, okay, too much. I need to just, I understand that people like to talk, certain people like to talk, but keep in mind what you're doing. Be aware of how much you're talking. Be welcoming of others and their ideas. So even if you don't necessarily like somebody in your group, or even if you don't necessarily agree with somebody else's ideas, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you are rude to them. It doesn't mean you dismiss their idea. You still listen to them, you still hear them, and then you respond with however you feel is appropriate, not by being rude. And that goes along with appropriate responses. So you need to be respectful in both your tone and your words, okay? Your tone and the way you say something says way more than your actual words. So if you say, thank you so much for saying that really important thing you just said. I mean, it's rude. You gotta watch your tone. Sometimes we accidentally have a little bit of a tone when we don't mean to. Sometimes I think even students to me sometimes will give me a tone and I'm like, why are you giving me that tone? Like be careful of how you're using your voice. Be warm, be respectful, and be positive. This is supposed to be a positive experience for everyone where we are not rude, we are not dismissing others. So treat it like it's an uplifting, positive thing for all of us. Avoid these are obvious things, but with your words, avoid saying things that are rude or that might be misconstrued as rude. Positivity and respect go a long way in a group discussion. Okay, your body language is extremely important, and this is one of the things that really gets to me. You need to be actively listening to people. So on the last slide, if you remember, or it was 2 slides ago, I said, listen to others. Yes, that's important so that you can respond effectively to them, but active listening is when you are proving that you're trying really hard to listen. You may have notes in front of you and resources in front of you, which is great, but you should not be sitting there reading through your resources and your papers and not listening what other people are saying. You need to be able to engage yourself with what others are saying. Don't be shuffling around with your papers. Use your eye contact. Use your posture. Last year, I had people who would lean back in their chair and they would like every once in a while pick up their phone and look at it. And I'm like, what are you doing? That is so rude. Oh my gosh. You need to like sit up straight, look people in the eyes, keep your phone put away, avoid doing other things while somebody is talking. Lean towards the speaker. If the speaker is talking on your right, lean to your right. Engage with them, show them that you're hearing them and you're understanding them, nod your head, smile, you know what I mean? Like, do not pretend that you are better than the speaker. Do not pretend you have better things to do than talk to the speaker and hear what the speaker is saying. If you think that somebody else is not saying something of value, that's okay. You need to be respectful anyways, because that's the nice thing to do. If you don't agree with what they're saying, that's okay. You can always like counter things that other people are saying and say, well, I'm not totally sure about that, but that doesn't mean you be rude to them. This is really important. Sometimes I think that we are just harsh with each other. A lot of us have known each other for a long time, and we think that we can just kind of say things to each other and it'll make us feel good to like get something off our chest. But it's harmful, especially in a setting like this where we're trying to do a graded academic discussion, and not even when it's just graded academic discussions, when it's discussions on social media, when it's discussions in the hallway or in class or on the bus or at home or wherever it may be. Please be respectful of people that you are talking to, because your words and your posture and your dismissive tones, they have consequences and they have an impact on people. So please, please, please remember this. This is really important. Be nice to people. Take care of people, because it's the right thing to do. I hope this was beneficial for you. Thank you so much for listening. This actually went on longer than I expected, but have a great day. Thanks for taking the notes, and I'll talk to you soon.